Hello, good morning, and welcome to This Date in History, also known as TDH. This show is all about the events that occurred to date in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things that we personally find intriguing enough for us to bring to you. The sources of this information come from the smart device application Today in History, What Happened Today in History, Historical Calendar, and the website onthisday.com. For links to those sources, the music, and anything else potentially interesting that we gather throughout the show, check the underbar in the description below. Anyway, I am Aoxander, and today is Woden's Day, also known as Odin's Day, also known as Wednesday, July 6, 2022. Let's see here, let's start us off. What was the first article today? 1189, Richard the Lionheart was crowned King of England upon the death of King Henry II. Oh, well, look at that. Look at that, that's pretty cool. 1348, a papal bull of Pope Clement VI was issued during the Black Death, the bubonic plague, stating that Jews were not to blame and urging their protection. Yeah, no, Jews were not to blame. The Chinese were. The bubonic plague came from China, as the Spanish flu came from China. COVID came from China. All of these world, harming, everything is all just coming from China. So maybe it's time to deal with the source of the problems. 1483, Richard III was crowned King of England after deposing Edward V. 1495, during the Battle of Fornovo near Parma, French King Charles VIII defeated the Holy League. Huh. What is the Holy League? What was the Holy League? Let's see here. What was the Holy League? They're either of two European leagues sponsored by the papacy in the late 15th and early 16th century, formed for the purpose of protecting Italy from threatened French domination. Huh. Well, that's interesting. I'm going to add that into the underbar. Give me 1 second. Got to add that in. And add it. 1529, Conquistador Hernan Cortez granted lands and title of Marquisate of Oaxaca Valley by Spanish King Charles V. Well, that's interesting. So he was granted it. So it's not that he granted it; he was granted it. So English is weird sometimes. Moving on up into 1590, English Admiral Francis Drake took Portuguese forts at Tag. 1699, pirate Captain William Kidd was captured in Boston. Ooh. What are the pirates doing all the way up there? I thought they were just out there in the Caribbean, whatever how to pronounce it, Caribbean. 1775, Congress issued a Declaration of the Causes and Necessity of Taking Up Arms, listing grievances but denying intent to be independent. Yeah, well, what happened less than 1 year after that? So, yeah. 1776, oh, well, look at that. Here we go. The American Declaration of Independence was announced on the front page of Pennsylvania Evening Gazette. Wow. Can you imagine, seeing that in a newspaper? Oh, hey, we're declaring independence. What? Time to move to the wilderness so we don't get shot. 1853, National Black Convention met in Rochester, New York, with ex-slave Frederick Douglass attending. Cool. 1885, Louis Pasteur successfully gave an anti-rabies vaccine to a 9-year-old Joseph Meister, saving his life. Good. Man, yeah, rabies have been, the vaccine's been around for a while, but that's not as much as a while as I thought it would have been. Indeed. 1892, Jose Rizal formed La Liga Filipina in Manila. Cool. In the 19th century, or not century, but in the 1900s, in 1904, the U.S. Democratic Party nominated little-known New York Judge Alton B. Parker for presidential nominee, virtually assuring the election of Theodore Roosevelt. 4 years later, 1908, Robert Peary's Arctic expedition sailed from New York City to the North Pole. So is that when they left, or is that when they arrived? Because it's saying both as in present tense. So that's Robert Peary's Arctic expedition. Let's see here. We can just look this up on Google. Robert Peary, expedition. 1894. So what year did it? Well, you know what? I'm just going to add this guy's wiki into the underbar, so anybody else with the time can look this up themselves and then add a comment in the underbar, in the comment section. Here we go. Initial expedition, June 6. Okay, so I think it's when he arrived. Okay. So he left on June 6, and he got there on July 6. Anyway, let's move on up into 1917. T.E. Lawrence captured Port of Aqaba from the Turks. And that is Lawrence of Arabia, by the way. So, in the year 1919, the Institute for Sexual Science opened in Berlin by physician Magnus Hirschfeld to establish a study of sexual science. Yeah, sounds like this guy was just a horn dog and was trying to make money off of doing so without getting into prostitution or pimpery. 1933, Nursery Rhymes short film starring Ted Healy and his Stooges premiered. It was one of the first film appearances of the Three Stooges. Oh, look at that. Nursery Rhymes. That's interesting. 1933, the first Major League Baseball All-Star Game, AL 142 at Comiskey Park, Chicago. Babe Ruth hit his first All-Star home run. 1934, hey, I recognize that picture too. The U.S. doubles specialist Elizabeth Ryan won her 12th Wimbledon doubles title as she and Simone Mathieu of France defended their crown 6-3, 6-3 versus Dorothy Ardress and Sylvie Henrotin. 1 year later, in 1935, during the Wimbledon's women's tennis, Helen Wills Moody won her 7th of 8 Wimbledon singles titles, defeating Helen Jacobs 6-3, 3-6, and 7-5. 1941, the New York Yankees team unveiled a monument to former captain Lou Gehrig in center field at Yankee Stadium. The future Hall of Famer died the previous month. Aww. Man, that sucks. Speaking of sucking, 1942, Anne Frank's family goes into hiding in After House, Amsterdam. Yeah. She was the world record holder for hide and seek until Bin Laden. So, but she's still, number 2 is better than number 3. 1944, French General Charles de Gaulle arrived in Washington, D.C. Cool. 1944 as well, U.S. General George S. Patton landed in France. Yeah, this is after his participation in the whole ruse that most likely is, one of the many factors that even allowed the Normandy landings to succeed. 365 days later, in 1945, Abbott and Costello's film The Naughty 90s was released, featuring the longest version of their Who's on First routine. That's interesting. Also in 1945, Nicaragua became the first nation to ratify the Charter of the United Nations. Well, that's interesting. Why is this grayed out? That's weird. 1947, the AK-47 went into production in the Soviet Union. Ooh. Everybody knows that gun. That's pretty cool. 1956, during the Wimbledon's men's tennis, in an all-Australian matchup. What was that? Thought I heard a noise. Okay. In an all-Australian matchup, Lew Hode won his first of 2 Wimbledon singles crowns, beating Ken Rosenwell 6-2, 4-6, 7-5, and 6-4. Dang. 1957, Harry S. Truman Library was formed in Independence, Missouri. Well, that's interesting. 1957 as well, John Lennon, who was 16, and Paul McCartney, who was 15 at the time, they met for their first time, and Lennon's rock group Quarrymen performed at St. Peter's, Walton's Parish Church in Liverpool, introduced by the mutual friend Ivan Vaughan. Wow, that's one hell of a... Hey, have you seen my friend? Have you seen my friend 10 years later? Oh my god, wow. I would have loved to be that guy. Also in 1957, during the Wimbledon women's tennis, Althea Gibson became the first black female athlete to win the Wimbledon, defeating Darlene Hard at 6-3, 6-2. Cool. 2 years later, in 1959, LPGA Championship Women's Golf at the Sheraton Hotel Country Club, Betsy Rawls won her second title in the event by 1 stroke from Patty Berg. 1962, New York Yankees, the M&M boys, Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle, hit 2 home runs each in a 7-5 win versus the Twins. Mantle hit his 4th consecutive homer. Dang, what are you going around hitting, the family, leader of the Simpsons for? Dow. Also in 1962, Wimbledon's men's tennis, Rod Laver defeated fellow Australian Martin Mulligan 6-2, 6-2, 6-1 for his third leg, for the third leg of his first Grand Slam. Nice. I'm suddenly hungry for breakfast again. Every time I read Grand Slam, I am so indoctrinated by Denny's. Damn you, Denny's! 1968 Wimbledon women's tennis. Billie Jean King defeated Judy Tegart 9-7, 7-5 to earn her first ever prize, or to earn the first ever prize money offered at Wimbledon. It was £750. So wow, that's interesting. 1969 Ned Kelly, starring Mick Jagger, began filming in and around Braidwood, New South Wales, Australia. Huh, that's interesting. 5 years later, in 1974, during the Wimbledon's men's tennis, Jimmy Connors won his first of 2 Wimbledon singles titles, defeating Ken Rosewall of Australia 6-1, 6-1, 6-4. 1975, Dmitry Shostakovich completed Sonnet for Alto, Opus 147. Okay. 1979 Wimbledon women's tennis. Martina Navratilova successfully defended her title, defeating Chris Everett Lloyd 6-4, 6-4. 1 year later, 1980, saw MLB Philadelphia Phillies starter Steve Carlton fans 7 Cardinals to reach 2,836 strikeouts, the most by a left-handed pitcher in MLB history. Interesting. And I wonder why they blurred out his hat insignia. Like, that's really weird. You know what, Steve Carlton. Let me see if I can find out what that even is. Because, like, is this like some legal thing, or did he have some controversial political thing on his hat? Okay, well, while Google is deciding when to work, we're going to move on up to 1987. Pakistan cricket all-rounder Imran Khan reached 300th Test wicket milestone during 3rd Test versus England at Leeds. Now let's see here. Let's get a picture of this guy's hat here. It's just a P. Like, is a P illegal? Like, no, he has P right there. Mike Schmidt. Wait, Steve Carlton. Yeah. But what's with the? Oh, whatever. This is ridiculous to follow. Anyway, moving on up into 1989, the ex-Phillies third. Wait, did I miss somebody? 1986, 100th Wimbledon men's tennis. Germany's Boris Becker successfully defended his title, beating Ivan Lendl 6-4, 6-3, 7-5. Not sure if I read that. I've already read Mr. Imran here. 1989, ex-Phillies third baseman Mike Schmidt became the first retired MLB player to be named to start the All-Star game. He elected not to play. Huh. Pretty cool. 1990, Jetsons the Movie by Hanna-Barbera with Tiffany Darwish premiered. Alright, I have that on VHS. And the crossover with the Flintstones, I have that one too. I think those were the only 2 Jetsons movies. I'm not sure. There might have been a third. I'm not entirely sure. 1991, Wimbledon Women's Tennis Open. Steffi Graf defeated Gabriela Sabatini of Argentina 6-4, 3-6, 8-6 for her 3rd Wimbledon crown. Also, moving on into 1993, John F. Kennedy Jr. gave notice of quitting as ADA in Manhattan. ADA. Let's see, John F. Kennedy. Let me just search this whole article here. What is ADA? What is District Attorney Post? Okay, so Attorney Post Administration, or whatever the other A is. 1994, Forrest Gump, directed by Robert Zemeckis and starring Tom Hanks, Robin Wright, and Gary Sinise, was released later to receive the Academy Awards Best Picture of 1995, despite it being a horribly gross movie when you think about it, because think about it, poor Forrest, he loved Jenny, but he was broke, But after he made his millions, with his Apple stock, guess who came back? What a gold digger. 1997, Montreal Expos retired Baseball Hall of Fame outfielder Andre Dawson's uniform at number 10. Also in 1997, Wimbledon's men's tennis, Pete Sampras beat Cedric Paillon of France 6-4, 6-2, 6-4 for his 10th Grand Slam title. 1 year later, 1998, U.S. Open Women's Golf at the Black Wolf Run, Sae-Rai Pak of South Korea won a 20-hole Monday playoff over U.S. amateur Jenny Charisaporn. What a name. Porn is at the end. Wow. I bet she gets the butt end of the joke. 2002, Wimbledon's women's tennis. Serena Williams defeated older sister Venus 7-6, 6-3 for her first Wimbledon singles title. Nice. 365 days later, 2003, during the Wimbledon's men's tennis, Roger Federer defeated Australian Mark Philippoussis 7-6, 6-2, 7-6 for his first Grand Slam title as well. Or first whatever title, yeah, you get it. 2005, Live Aid concert at Murrayfield Stadium, Edinburgh, Scotland. Performers included Wet Wet Wet, Annie Lennox, James Brown, The Corrs, and The Proclaimers. Wow. 3 years later, in 2008, during the Wimbledon men's tennis, Rafael Nadal of Spain ended Roger Federer's 5-year reign at Wimbledon, 6-4, 6-4, 6-7, 6-7, 9-7. Dang. Man, that's nail biting right there. Those are close. Yeah, I'm learning about tennis, how tennis is done. So like this show and everything is not just teaching me about history; it's teaching me about how things are done. That's pretty cool. 2 years later, in 2010, which was just 12 years ago, Incubus singer Brandon Boyd announced the release of his debut solo album, The Wild Trapeze. That reminds me of the old song. He cried it with ease, the trapeze. Or something like that. 2014, Wimbledon's men's tennis. Novak Djokovic defeated Roger Federer 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 5-7, 6-4 to regain his world number one ranking. Muffin mouth. 2015 saw Floyd Mayweather Jr. stripped of his WBO welterweight boxing title after failing to pay $200,000 sanctioning fee and vacate his 2 junior middleweight titles. Dang. A lot of politics in boxing, it seems. 2016, Chicot's report, UK's Iraq War inquiry was released, concluding Tony Blair overstated a case for war and was unprepared. Yeah, warmongering piece of crap. Just look at his face. You can tell. He's like, I want blood. I want to spill the blood of the innocent. 2020, God, I'm really turning into Alex Jones, am I? Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes agreed to the largest contract for an athlete in sports history, inking a 12-year deal that could end up being worth $503 million US dollars. So, dang. That's a lot of money. And then in 2021, just last year, Mary Simon was named Canada's first Indigenous Governor General by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau. The apple did not fall far from the tree. Did the apple even fall from the tree from Fidel Castro? I don't know. Anyway, what articles did you guys find interesting? Add that into the comment section. Let's engage. Let's help each other learn more about anything that you want to. Anything you want to add, any questions, anything like that, get engaged, get joined. We're all in this together. Let's go. Jumping on in the burst, starting in the year 1781, we have Stamford Raffles, a British statesman and founder of Singapore. He was born off the coast of Port Morant, Jamaica, dying in 1826. Interesting. 1832 saw Maximilian I get birthed of Mexico and Archduke of Austria. Wait, what? What? Mexico and Austria. What do they have connected? First, he was the first and only monarch of the Second Mexican Empire. He was born in Vienna, Austria. Okay, that's weird, but alright. Apparently, Austria owned Mexico at one point. I thought it and Spain before that. I gotta study more. 1876, Harry Ford Sinclair was born on this date. He was the founder of Sinclair Oil. The Teapot Dome scandal for anything he was specifically involved in. He was born in Benwood, West Virginia. It doesn't tell me what year he died. He cannot be alive anymore today. But what was the Teapot Dome scandal? Let's take a look at that. Scandal. Come on. Load. Okay, well, while that's loading... Oh, here we go. The Teapot Dome scandal. Come on. Oh, well, we've looked at this before, apparently, because the link has been clicked. So I'm just going to add that to the underbar when it's done loading. Moving on up into 1907, Frida Kahlo was born on this date. She was a Mexican painter who explored questions of identity, post-colonialism, gender, and race in Mexican society. She was born in Coyoacán, Mexico City, dying in 1954. Huh. Teapot Dome scandal. Let me add that into the underbar here real quick. Oh, wait. Oh, we already have 2 accumulated links. We're on a roll today, aren't we? Dmitry Polyakov was born on this date in 1921. He was a Soviet major general and spy for the CIA, born in Ukraine, dying in 1988. Wow. That's wild. Nancy Reagan, hey, 1921 as well. She was originally named Anne Frances Robbins. She was a U.S. First Lady from 1981 through 89, born in New York City, New York, dying in 2016. Wow, that was only 8 years ago. 8? No. 6. Yeah, I can't math. 1925, Bill Haley was a U.S. rock vocalist known as the father of rock and roll. Rock around the clock. Yep, that's the start of it. Born in Highland Park, Michigan, dying in 1981. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, rock. 1927, Janet Leigh, Janetta Morrison, was a U.S. actress in Psycho. She looks like a psycho. Born in Merced, California. Well, that explains how she looks. Dying in 2004. Okay, well now I kind of feel bad. Never mind. She was a Californian. Screw her. 1935, 14th Dalai Lama, Tibetan spiritual leader of Tibet's Lamastic Buddhists, born in Tasker, Qinghai, China. I wonder if that's the guy who talked to me on Twitter. Because I made a tweet a while ago, I think back in 2019, so it wasn't that much of a while ago, so I might still be in trouble. But I tagged China on Twitter and I said, hey, at China, F you, but I didn't just stop at F. And then Tibet retweeted me, and then we had a little bit of a DM conversation, and yeah, I don't have a Twitter anymore, but neither do they, so... But, yeah, that was interesting. George W. Bush, oh my god, was born on this date in 1946. Do I even need to say who he was? He was a U.S. businessman and Republican politician, the 43rd President of the United States, serving from 2001 through 2009. He was also the 46th Governor of Texas from 1995 through 2000. He was born in New Haven, Connecticut. What? Connecticut? Texas, what are you doing letting a Connecticut person, governor you? What the hell? Man. 1946, Sylvester Stallone. What? A U.S. actor and director, Rocky, Rambo, Cobra, Adrian! Born in New York City, New York. I'm going to get my ass handed to him if he ever sees that. Jeffrey Rush was born on this date in 1959. He is an Australian actor. Shakespeare in Love, The King's Speech. He was born in Toowoomba, Queensland. What a name, Toowoomba. Willie Randolph was born on this date in 1954. He is a MLB second baseman and manager. Well, I don't think he's still active, but for the New York Mets. He was born in Holly Hill, South Carolina. 50 Cent. What? Wow. 90s. I really sound like that guy from Parks and Rec. The one Aziz Ansari played. What was the name? Oh man. Whatever. Anyway, 1975, 50 Cent was born, although his actual name is Curtis James Jackson III. He is a U.S. rapper and businessman. He was born in Queens, New York. Kevin Hart, 1979, a U.S. comedian, Laugh at My Pain and The Secret Life of Pets, born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Yeah, he is living proof that big things come in small packages. So, And let's see, moving on into deaths, we have 1189 saw Henry II of England. He was a king of England, ruling from 1154 through 89. He died of a bleeding ulcer at the age of 56. Ew, that sucks. John Marshall died on this date in 1835. He was the 4th Chief Justice of the U.S., serving from 1801 through 35. He died at the age of 79. Guy de Maupassant died in 1893. He was a French author, Boile de Soif. He died 4 days after trying to commit suicide by cutting his throat at the age of 42. Oh, God. 1962, William Faulkner was a U.S. author. As I Lay Dying, Nobel Prize for Literature 1949. He died at 64. Well, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. Oh, Louis Armstrong died on this date in 1971. He was a U.S. jazz trumpeter and singer. Hello, Dolly. What a wonderful world. He died of a heart attack at age 69. Marsha P. Johnson died on this date in 1992. They were born... he was born Malcolm Michaels Jr., the black U.S. gay liberation and AIDS activist, drag queen, and transgender pioneer, Gay Liberation Front and star, died under suspicious circumstances at 46. I'm not going to say anything about that. And that's it. That concludes the show. Once again, check the underbar in the description for any links that you may find interesting. For your dose of past events daily, we stream every day at 10 in the morning Pacific time. Where is my script? There it is. For all of you and all of us, I am A.O. Xander, and you are you, and until you catch us tomorrow, do not forget to look right and left at every intersection. You can also rate 5 thumbs and subscribe if you do so, please. Until then, until you catch us tomorrow, toodles, let's go Brandon.